there's so much buildup for this defense and all the pieces they've added.
Right.
They haven't played together yet, though, a lot of them in a real game. So what are you looking for on that side of the ball?
Yeah, and I'm going to start with obviously the front seven, the front four mainly, because I think that's where they did most of the work at, and I think that's where they're going to need the biggest jump from the last 2 years to this third season. And it's really the ability to stop the run and affect the quarterback, right? In particular, Darius Robinson, right, who was hurt last year, first round pick, getting back, made it through training camp healthy. What does he look like? How disruptive is he in the game? Is he knocking guards and centers back and making running backs have to make a premature cut and read? And then number 2 would be Josh Sweat, and seeing what does his presence bring, because he hasn't done any preseason, right? He's done practices, which nobody's seen and is much different. How does his impact on the field affect a couple of things, right? Does it free up other people? And does Nick Rollins feel like he only needs to rush 4? Right, and can play more coverage, and doesn't necessarily have to do all these simulated blitzes and different looks in order to create pressure or affect the quarterback. Because if you can do 4, it's much easier to disguise on the back end and make the quarterback throw you picks with the addition of pressure. So that'll be the two main things on the front. And for me to get a real perspective of this too, I'm gonna have to watch the game back, the end zone copy. NFL Plus does a good job of that, because sometimes you can lose it. So I'm not necessarily even looking at sacks and stats, but disruption of knockbacks and setting the edge, all the little things that allows a defense to thrive that most people kind of overlook. And so for those 2 guys mainly, and then it's going to be intriguing to see how they utilize, I think, the 3 safety formations or combinations personnel, right? Are they going to rock with Gaither or Cody or Pat Poe at that backer, or are they going to go 3 safeties and maybe have Buddha come down, what they did a lot last year? Or, where do they feel like is going to be the most advantageous for them? Who are they trying to get on the field, and who do they feel like they want to utilize the most, that gives them probably the most flexibility? And so that's going to be really intriguing, because obviously Buddha, Jalen, and Demerson, as in Rabbit, they just bring so much energy. It's really hard to keep those dudes off the field. Yeah. So I think that's the way they'll probably end up going, but it'd be interesting to see how they do that, because obviously Cody, they also drafted. They want to get him out there as well and have him fly around. So I think they have just so much flexibility. And then I guess the last thing, which I saw on the depth chart, which I've never seen this, and I'm pretty sure it's happened before, but they have Zaven and Browning kind of like 1A, 1B.
Yeah.
What is that? Are they rotating? Do they have certain packages where they're both going to be out there depending on what they're calling situationally? It's also going to be, kind of cool to see those guys, because I think Zaven this is his 2nd year or 3rd year, I guess, fully into the outside backer system.
Yeah.
Being a pass rusher, setting the edge from the line of scrimmage. Because I'm really rooting for him. I've gotten to know him, and I really want him to see him thrive making that transition, because I think he can do it.
Yeah, man, of everything. You said a lot right there. What sticks out to you, Luke?
Well, the being able to rush 4, honestly. I mean, just because we've seen that at the highest, obviously it's the NFL, but at the highest levels of the NFL, we've seen teams win Super Bowls against offenses that looked unstoppable because they could rush 4 and get a legitimate disruptive pass rush out of those 4 guys. I really hope the Cardinals have that by the end of the year.
Yeah, and, the New Orleans Saints as well. It's not like they have the best offensive line out there, so we'll have to wait and see.
But they got Alvin Kamara, who's really nice.
Very nice.
I feel like he gets forgotten about every year.
Yeah, and I think he's healthy this year. Yep. And he's a lot like McCaffrey, right? Yep. So he can run the rock in between the tackles and get outside on you. He can line up as a receiver. Yep. He's great in the screen game. He does a lot of great things. He's very versatile. So that's almost like just a guy that you have to hone in, because he can wreck a game offensively, for you as far as big playability. So that's going to be really unique. And if you only have to rush 4, you got one more guy. You're not blitzing, and he's getting by and they're dumping it off, and now he just has to beat 4 or 5 defenders. So that's going to be really important. And being able to, drop 7 allows you to maybe help out some of the young corners if you're not quite sure yet as far as what they're going to be able to handle earlier in the season. So
and a better chance maybe to pick some balls too.
Right, you can play a little bit more zone, eyes on the quarterback, and that's always more advantageous getting your hands on that ball.
It's a great point on Kamara, too, because we're talking about a very young quarterback in terms of NFL experience, Spencer Rattler. And as good as Chris Olave is, as I think dangerous as Rashid Shaheed is, it might be tougher for a guy like Spencer Rattler, maybe, to get them the ball. But Kamara, you can get it to him so many different ways. That's probably the center of their offense this weekend.
Yeah, for sure.
Most weekends.
Yeah, you want to make the game simple for it.
So flip it over and look at the offense.
Yeah,
what do you think?
My main thing is it always starts in the run game, all starts in the trenches. So the ability to run the ball consistently and effectively, right, getting 3-4 yards a pop. But really looking at Isaiah Adams with his first year being the starter. He earned the right to call himself the starter. Last year he came off the bench, right? Now he is the full-time starter. He talked about imposter syndrome. He talked about having a great camp, right, getting that confidence. But it's one thing to say it, one thing to do it, and it's also another thing to do it when you got Will Hernandez sitting right there just waiting, right? Not that Will is like, hey, I hope you mess up. I hope you mess up. I hope you mess up. But his presence and what he wants to do, he wants to be a starter too. He's out here working for it. And so sometimes if you think, okay, well, how long of a leash do I have? You know, if I make a couple of mistakes or I have a bad game here and there, you know, a couple of plays, is Will going to come in and take my spot? So his consistent play, knowing his situation, I think I want to be able to see. I think he's going to be able to do it based on what we've seen so far. But that's just another layer. And can I do it executing, knowing that somebody is breathing down my back as far as competing for this spot? Point two, again, formational and personnel flexibility, right? They have all these great athletes. We've talked about 13, right? With all the tight ends that they have. What does that look like? Do we going to line up in true 13 personnel? Do we going to come in 13, line up in 11 or 12 looks? Can you adjust with these guys if we want to run the ball down your necks? Now you have linebackers out here. Now we spread you out. What do those matchups look like?
That's right.
Do we go with Benson and Connors in the backfield, right? Do we go with 20 now? Who's getting out? Who's the fullback? Who's blocking? What can we do here in that aspect? I think they just have a lot of flexibility of where they can move guys in and out of and show different things, but do their main thing as far as attacking off the play action. And then I would say probably the last thing, the most important thing is situational execution from Kyler Murray, right? I'm not just talking about the first 15 or early in the game or halftime, but, hey, we're in the red zone, right? Do I take a sack or do I throw the ball away and kick a field goal? Or do I take a sack and now we're out of field goal range, right? Those little things put points or take points off the board. How do I handle maybe a 2-minute situation where maybe we're going to get the ball coming out of halftime, and now we have an opportunity to double dip. Got an opportunity to score, and we get the ball back, have an opportunity to go down. Am I able to orchestrate a 2-minute drive seamlessly and go down, get a touchdown preferably, and then come right back out and do the same thing again?
And protect the ball through it all.
Those things. And the protection of the ball for me is more in the fourth quarter. If he throws a pick early in the game, overall, most teams can recover from that, but like the situational, it's 4-minute, 2-minute, we need something, and you throw a pick when the game is that on-the-line moments where that is where he has to protect the ball, I think, more so than anything, because you can overcome typically a first-quarter pick.
That was a lot.
That was a lot.
One of the guys you brought up in there, Trey Benson, I know we don't have time to get into it now, but I think that's a guy we will be talking about a lot this season because he's, on the offense, he's maybe the biggest, I don't want to say unknown, but just kind of like
X factor.
Yeah, we have specific expectations for Marv and for Kyler, and you know what Trey McBride is, and all and James Conner. I mean, I think it's pretty clear what James Conner is, but Trey Benson is. The X factor is the best way to put it. Zoe, it's always great talking to you, man.
Always.
Thank you, Zoe. Love you, man.
Yep.
Officially means it's football season.
That's right.
Yeah, and hey, guess what? Me and Wolf disagreed today. We don't always agree. Man. A lot of times I'm texting my man Luke, hey, no, Wolf is wrong.
Occasionally I'll work that in.
I love it, man. I love it.
Thanks for watching Wolf and Luke. Tap to see more and click the button in the middle to subscribe to Arizona Sports.